Welcome to the November installment of our virtual SCW Classics presented by Kaiser Permanente. SCW Classics provide monthly health and wellness activities to Santa Cruz residents. I'm Mattson, head of performance of the Santa Cruz Warriors, and today I'm going to take you through a workout that anyone at any level can do. Feel free to pause the video as we go through several different segments of training. Alright, let's get started. The first portion of our activity is mobility focused. So we'll start off with the reverse lunge to overhead reach. If you have a hard time reaching overhead while doing a reverse lunge, you can just do it from a squat position. So I'll show you two different options. The first option, which is less challenging, is to squat down, touch your toes, and reach overhead. Your goal is to open the front line and the back line of your body. So reach down, take a breath, reach overhead, take a breath at the top. Reach down, reach up, really elongate your body, stretch. Okay, if you want to progress from there, you can do a reverse lunge. So from here, you'll drop the back leg, reach overhead, take a deep breath. Return back, reverse, reach overhead, take a deep breath. Okay? From there, another progression to the first exercise, to a hamstring stretch. If you do it on one leg, it becomes much more challenging. So you'll slide down, balancing to the best of your ability, come back up, slide down to the best of your ability, come back up, opposite leg. You can do about 5 to 6 reps with each movement. All right. For the second exercise, we're going to start moving in the frontal plane, which means side to side. Okay, we've opened the front side of our body and the back side of our body. Now we're going to start moving sideways and start to incorporate dynamic movement. So you'll start from a wide stance. Okay? There's a few different progressions we can make. I'll start with the most simple way, okay? We're going to shift our weight to one side of our body, try to grab our foot, and rotate our torso. So you'll shift completely as much as you can. Try to grab the floor, go as low as you can. Rotate away, take a deep breath. Other side, reach, rotate away, take a deep breath. Rotate away, take a deep breath. Rotate away, take a deep breath. To progress that, you can make it a dynamic step. So I can start here, I can step, and I can rotate. I can step, and I can rotate. Really transferring your center of mass over to that leg. As much as you can to that leg you're depending on. Each direction. Alright? For the third mobility exercise we'll be doing, our goal is to open up our lower body joints. Our hip joint, our knee joint, and our ankle joint. So what we'll do, you can do two different movements. You can do a squat-based pattern or you can do a single leg pattern. I'll start off showing you the squat-based pattern. So, all I'm going to do is get as low as I can, emphasizing a hip bend, a knee bend, and an ankle bend. So as low as you can, come back up. You can stay at the toe point out if it's a little bit easier. Low as you can, come back up. A progression to that would be a single leg movement, where you go as deep as you can. Ideally, your goal would be to hit your elbow on the ground. I don't think any of us can do that. So let's try it out. Low as you can, come back up, switch legs, deep as you can, keeping your heel flat on the floor, come back up, come back up, come back up. Okay, for the second portion of our workout, we'll move from mobility to more strength training. Our goal of this next portion is to be as stiff as possible with our core. Our core supports everything else, our legs and our arms, as our extremities. So I want my core to be as strong as possible to help my body with movement and transferring energy. For instance, if I have a weak core, and my core is moving all different directions with every step I take, I can transmit force to different areas and can lead to back pain or other injuries. Right? So if I have a stiff core and able to transfer energy, I can distribute my forces through movement. A little complex, but I just want to create a better understanding. Okay, so for the first movement we'll start from a very basic plank. As you grow strength and develop a tolerance to the exercise, you can increase the time. You can actually use different tools, such as some resisting or adding a little bit of weight as well, and we can talk about that in detail. Okay, so for the first one, it's a basic plank. So you get into plank position, okay? Make sure you don't arch your back. You don't want your back to arch through here. You want to maintain as much tension as you can to the front side. Hold the plank position, squeeze your quads, your abs, and pull as if you're pulling your elbows to your toes without any movement. That's going to make your front line of your body very stiff. So pull as hard as you can. Do some time between 20 to 30 seconds. If you want to really challenge yourself, try to do 40 seconds to 50 seconds. Okay? Once you're done there, we'll roll to our side. Okay? You want your knees to be about 90 degrees, your feet to be about 90 degrees, hips to be at 90 degrees. Okay? You'll anchor your elbow here on the ground. What you're going to do is try to go into a side plank. There's a few different progressions we can make. The most basic being coming with your hip off the ground, knees down. You just hold that, right? You don't want your hips to be too far back. Try to push them forward as you drive the knees to the ground. From here, you can make your legs straight if you want to progress it. You can go up just like this, okay? A good sign of strength is if you can do this for 30 seconds straight. The last progression you can make if you're really trying to challenge yourself, or at some point if you do get there, you can do the same movement, right, but now reach as high as you can. 20, 30 seconds. Okay? We'll do the same thing on the other side. 20, 30 seconds just like this. If you want to push yourself, put your legs straight, come up, and the most challenging of all the progressions, right here and right here. Okay? Okay, to finish off our planking series, we'll lie on our backs. You can lie just like this on the floor. The angle joint you create from your knee is going to influence how much your hamstrings work versus how much your glutes work. If your feet are closer, you're going to get more glute activation. If your feet are further away, your hamstrings are going to be the point of emphasis. Okay, so you determine what you're looking to accomplish in the exercise. One thing we want to make sure of is that we keep our core tight. I don't want to hyperextend. I don't want my back to arch. I want to keep my abs tight. Now my pelvis, my hips, they remain neutral. And I put as much pressure into the ground as I can, drive my heels down, holding this position. If you want to make it harder, you can do a couple things. You can drive your elbows through the ground hard as you can, creating pressure and a lot of tension through the ground through your shoulder blades. You'll feel them light up. Okay? You can also put your back onto a bench, which will raise your body, right? And the more mass you have off of the bench or off of the floor, the harder it will become. Okay, cool. All right, and that's it for the plank series. We'll move on to the next set of exercises right now. Okay, the next portion, my goal is to get your cardiorespiratory endurance up, trying to get your heart rate elevated to get you in better conditioning shape, okay? A lot of times I think of just going on walks, but it's not challenging enough. We also need to push ourselves. We want to get our heart rates to go into these intervals of up and down and up and down. Anything steady state is not too challenging, okay? So with that being said, push yourself to a degree that you can tolerate, and as you continue to practice these movements, you'll be able to increase the level of effort, right? Or intensity. Okay, so for the first movement, we'll start out very basic. Our goal is to go to cover a long range of motion. So I'm going to go to high knees. When I do a high knee, I don't want my pelvis to be flopping around. I want to stay stiff. So high knee, just like this. You're very tall. Imagine if you're in a marching band. Opposite arm, opposite leg drives. Your goal is to go as high as you can at the knees and cover as much range of motion with your arms as possible while staying tall. You can do this for about 30 seconds, okay? I suggest doing 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. As you become better, you can do 30 seconds on, 20 seconds off, 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off. Okay, you can also increase the speed of movement or the force of movement to create a more demanding force to the floor. So this is easy versus this. Right, the intensity rises a lot. So imagine doing this as hard as you can for 30 seconds, how tired you'll be after. For the next movement, we're going to move side to side, okay? It's very important to stay tight in our core, really focus on driving off the outside leg, especially the glutes, okay? So there's different intensities you can work from. Let's start very simple. Bend the knee, bend the hip. This is where you create power from. Close it, absorb, close it, absorb. Just like you're an ice skater. Just like you're an ice skater. If you want to increase the intensity, you can hop into it, but make sure when you hop, you're not standing tall. Of the three lower body joints, the hip, knee, and the ankle, the hip is the strongest, so let the hip do the work. If I stand tall and land like this, I'm making my ankle do the work, right? If I sit down here, now my hip is absorbing the forces, okay? So understand that and try to implement that in your movement. You can jump even harder. Hip is down, hip is down, hip is down, See how my arm sway to the outside of the hip every time I jump? That's going to help send your center of gravity over here, over the foot, over the foot, over the foot. And the harder you work, and the more distance you cover, and the more effort you put into the floor, is going to create more of a demand. All right. Okay. Another method of increasing your heart rate, while not necessarily creating too much force to the ground or working for long durations or moving great distances, is to move very quickly in a short space. So let's even imagine if you're stuck in a small space like a living room or your own bedroom, you can still create a great workout considering limitations. What you want to do is put max effort into quick movement, and there's a lot of ways to go about that, and it's going to stimulate your nervous system. It's going to make you move very quickly, and it's going to be very demanding. Okay? The first one, we'll keep it simple. It's just fire feet, alternating, just like this, quick as you can. Quick as you can, okay? What I want you guys to do is try to do 15 seconds continuously and rest for the same amount of duration. 1-to-1 work to rest. So work 15, hard as you can, quick as you can, quick as you can, completely rest 15. Work, 15, 15. If you cannot do more than 3 in a row of 15, 15, I suggest taking longer rest periods. So maybe 15 seconds on, 30-second rest period. 1 to 2 work to rest ratio. Okay, so that's the first exercise. Let's work on doing 3 sets and figure out the amount of time you need to rest in between. Quick as you can, rest. Quick as you can, rest. Following that, we're going to go side to side with the movement. So it'll be just like this, just popping. Imagine crossing a small line. Quick as you can, quick as you can, quick as you can, quick as you can. Same concept. 15 on, 15 off. If it's challenging, increase the rest duration. Okay? After you're done with 3 sets of that, move on to the next one, which is forward and backward. Sit down in a quarter squat, forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, backward. Quick as you can. 15, 30, 15, 15. You determine the time you need to rest. As you continue through the training program, you can decrease the rest, you can increase the work time too. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do is going to try to exhaust your muscle, holding long durations. It doesn't require much impact, and it will still be a great workout. We do this a lot of times for our guys who are in season, because we do so much forceful things in the sport of basketball. Push it to the ground, moving very quickly. That's yanking on the tendons a lot. We want to really develop some muscle mass to be able to absorb this and make it through the, and endure the demands of a season and prolong their careers ultimately, right? So, for you guys, I want to have you guys have basic regressions and you can progress from there. Before you get into dynamic weightlifting, it's very important to be able to withstand your own body weight first. So, the first movement we'll do is a wall sit. You can lean on any vertical surface. So for instance, I'll lean against these boxes right here. I'm going to sit into a little bit lower than a quarter squat. I'm going to put most of the weight of my body onto the balls of my feet. My heels are still touching the ground, but most of the weight is there. Okay. The deeper you get, the harder it becomes. I don't want you guys to go past 90. I'd say right here would be a good position. And hold it. Let's try this at least 30 seconds, potentially a minute. If you can do a minute, you can add some loaded weight, maybe a backpack, maybe some books, anything that's of something external mass, right? To where you can tolerate no more than a minute. If you can tolerate more than a minute, let's increase the weight. So we'll hold right here. Let's do 3 sets of 30 seconds to 1 minute, okay? From there, the next exercise we'll do is a split stance hold, which is much more challenging because it's kind of on one leg. Although 2 legs are planted, most of the weight is in the front leg. So you'll stand right here, you drop this back knee. Your goal is to keep the shin angle and the torso angle. So torso angle, shin angle, parallel, okay? This is good, this is advantageous biomechanically. If I'm right here, these angles are parallel, this is good. If I'm here, these angles will intersect, it's not good. These angles do not intersect, it's not good. Parallel lines are efficient. Drop this back knee with 80% of the weight to the front leg and hold it. 30 seconds to a minute. 3 sets. You can alternate between one leg. So you do right leg, you do left leg. 30 seconds each. Parallel lines. Hold the position. 3 times through. If you need long rest period, that's completely okay. Take that. As you progress through the workouts, you'll notice that it'll become easier and easier with consistency. Okay? The last one we'll do, we'll get into the frontal plane, which is side to side. Stand in a wide stance where you can comfortably stand without paying your hip flexors or hips. If you do feel that, narrow your stance. Okay? You shift your weight to one side of the body, chest up, Hold that, 30 seconds. 80% of the weight is through here. This is more for balance and stability. Shift to the other side, 30 seconds. Let's shoot for 3 sets of 30 seconds to a minute. On behalf of the Santa Cruz Warriors and Kaiser Permanente, we want to thank you for joining C-Dubs Classics today. We have activities the last Monday of every month. For more information, visit santacruzbasketball.com/classics.